Susan, I'm curious if you would describe the different kinds of groups that you do teach.
Well, if you imagine hundreds of people in an organization called a corporation, but it's still 100 people. It's not, 100 puppies and kittens and all that. It's 100 people. Now, if you take that into a smaller group, then it's usually an entrepreneurial organization, something that's corporate but smaller. Then you talk about a family. You might have 6, 7 members of a family. I did a family mediation that was, 7 of them. And we had $1 million debt on the table that we had to figure out what to do with it. And we did. We absolutely figured it out. You then can talk about a couple, 2 people. Or you can talk about an individual who just wants inner peace. The common denominator is that we're all human. If we're 97-point-something% exactly like chimpanzees, then presumably we're a lot more like one another, right? So if you understand your own needs, then you can quickly learn from me how to extrapolate and figure out what other people's needs are. Not any people in the world, only the people that you have to cooperate with, that you have to collaborate with. So the common denominator is that you're a human being. All these other people that are challenging are human beings as well. And when I teach you some simple and basic skills, it becomes very easy to get along.
Absolutely. And it's not that complicated.
Right, exactly.
Would you say practice?
Yes, the basic skills, and then you just practice like you're getting ready for a tennis match, or like you're getting ready for some other kind of a sports event, the Olympics. It's like that. You just practice and get better and better at it.
So it's possible for everyone, believe me, even me.
And you're great at it. I mean, I've seen you. You're great at it.
There we go. That
Yay!
gives us all encouragement. Thank you so much,
That's
Susan.
true.
I'm curious, does everyone in a company or in a family need to really master the 6-part conversation with you so that there is peace?
The odds of that happening are pretty slim. So what's really unique about the system that I developed, thank you, Fred, for putting that up on the screen. What's really unique is you are in your own environment, in your own head, in your own brain, either creating peace or not. And once you commit yourself to having more peace in your life, and peace in your life can be 24/7. It can be when you're at the office, when you're home, when you're with your immediate family, when you're at the Thanksgiving table, So I mean peace, and I mean anywhere and everywhere. So once you commit yourself to that, you can figure out pretty quickly that everyone doesn't have the same commitment you do, and they don't all have the same willingness to learn. But the beauty of this is it takes one person in any environment to transform the environment, not necessarily in 5 minutes or overnight, but in a reasonably short amount of time.
And I've seen this transform around
Yes.
you where everybody not only has that peace, but they have some joy, and from that it can grow into love, respect, all the things we really want to nourish each other.
It's so different, isn't it?
Yes.
It's so different. You just need one person who has the skills to make peace and is committed to doing so. And that's what we're looking for, more people like that in the world.
Now, I'm curious, can you give us an example of how a corporation shifts to the greater success with the 6-part conversation?
Yeah. In a business, it all starts from the boss down. It's a top-down environment. Just as in a family, it's from the parents down. And whoever is the alpha male or female in the company, whoever is the alpha male or female at home. So the person who is the most powerful is the person I really like to work with, because the transformation will be that much quicker. So if you're the boss and you maybe had a habit of complaining or criticizing or demanding, and you didn't realize that it was never going to work for you or anybody else, we've all tried it. If it worked, we'd all still do it, right? So when you realize that it wasn't working, so now you want to learn some more successful skills, skills where you motivate and inspire everybody in the company. And when you do that, people start to copy you because you're the boss. You know, if they want to keep their job, if they want to get a better job, be promoted, get a raise, if they want all of that, more perks, a longer contract, all the things that people who are employees are looking for, if they want that, then they're going to copy your behaviors that are now so cooperative and so motivating.
There you go. Boy, that's encouraging for sure. So set an example, get these skills, and go forward. Okay, I want to hear more from you. My voice
Okay.
is going. Now, I wonder, let's explore an example of how the same frustrations within a marriage can be transformed with your 6-part Heartspace conversation.
So I often get a call from one spouse who's going crazy. Okay, I don't know what you can do to help me, Susan. I'm going to walk out of this marriage if you can't help me. I can't take it anymore. He or she is driving me crazy. Okay, what does that usually mean? It means that they're not in a collaborative relationship. They're not co-creating their life together. So one is capitulating, which means giving in, and one is coercing, which means forcing. So, you know, the answer is neither of those work. You can't push somebody around, and you can't squelch yourself. Neither one of those are you going to be able to tolerate for long. So I will teach the partner, who's my client, how to create peace within himself or herself, then how to listen to the angry partner, calm that angry partner down with empathy, make sure that they give them all the empathy they need in the beginning, which is more empathy than you're going to have to give them in 6 months. But right now, your job is to create peace. Give them as much empathy as they need. And in a very short period of time, they will calm down. It could be 30 minutes. But if you've been fighting with somebody for 6 months or 6 years, 30 minutes of empathy is nothing, right? And then you ask if they're willing to hear your thoughts about it. Then you express yourself again in a motivating and inspiring way. And you have peace. And I will tell you, people have worked with me for 3 sessions, sometimes even 2 sessions in a series of 12. And in the second or the third session, their spouse says, wow, this is such a great marriage. I'm having such a wonderful time. And believe me, this is the person who my client had said, he or she never stops complaining. And in 2 or 3 hours of training, to be able to begin to turn everything around, I consider it miraculous. And I know that you guys who've worked with me, used the same word.
That's
very
so
exciting.
encouraging. That is. And it is magical the way that works out.
Yeah, quick.
Yes, it's worth the time invested, and let it go.
Yeah, please.
The sooner the better. Now, what about a parent and a child? I'm curious, does a parent want to learn those similar skills to motivate children that, let's say, they use with adults?
You know, I really wish that if you were a parent, you would be willing to learn these skills. Now, some parents send me their children and I teach the children. And it's easier for me, believe me, because a child can learn so fast, it'll make your head spin. You know, the fastest student I ever had was when she was 7 years old. We spoke for 37 minutes, and in 37 minutes, she got exactly what she had to say to her parents, which obviously is words I helped her create, and she was able to get off the phone and create peace with her family. 37 minutes. I worked with a 9-year-old who was having tremendous problems with one of his parents, and in 45 minutes, he totally got it. Now, your job as a parent is, there's no contest. I'm not expecting anyone who's an adult to get it quickly like that. Believe me, I didn't. I've been doing this for years and years and years and years. And I practice every day with clients and friends. So the bottom line is, if you're willing to do this, if you're willing to learn these skills, your entire life can transform. Your relationship with your partner, your relationship with your children, wherever you work, every place in your life. So that's the goal.
Absolutely. And I want to give you credibility for always encouraging people, number one, to create it within.
Absolutely. That's my commitment, and yours, I know, as well. Yeah, you don't want other people running your life, right? You complain to me about other people running your life. So here's the solution. If you have the ability to self-generate peace, nobody's running your life anymore.
And it's contagious.
Yes. Happiness.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, how do the few people, let's say, with new skills within a corporation manage to transform the whole company?
You know, it's by example. You know, you really only teach by example. You can pretend to be a teacher and you can get people to repeat this and repeat that and do what you do and do it, you know, you do it, we do it, I do it, all this business. You can do that. And, it, you know, it's great. You have to. But what really, really impacts people is the transformation that they see in you. When one person in a company truly masters these skills, then the other people in the company want to know, what happened to her? What is he doing differently? Let me hear. And that's how I'm able to have other members of companies really be excited about learning this. I mean, sometimes, you know, we'll all work together and we'll work at the same time, and that's what you have to do because there's a situation that has to be turned around. But if you really want the people in your company to master these skills by being the example, or people at home, your family, be the example, and you'll be amazed. Because the first thing they do is they say, hey, this must work. And if it really works, then wouldn't they want it? Of course they do.
I appreciate the energy behind it,
Yes.
especially in the dynamics with the most complicated people that are the closest to us,
Yes.
my family.
That's right. And, you know, sometimes people don't want to learn, and you have to let that be okay. That's where self-empathy, again, comes in. Some people really don't want to learn. They may feel too hopeless that they could ever have a life that's really joyous and successful. But that's a topic for another show.
Oh, good.
We have solutions to
good.
that, but
I'm
that's a
taking
topic
note.
for another
Good.
show. Right.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that too. Well, now what happens if the entire team isn't sufficiently committed to getting the best results? Like, for example, they're just pulling in different directions.
So thank you. Goal-reaching skills are a completely different set of skills. I've talked about a lot of different skills today without, you know, naming all of them. But goal-reaching skills is a system that most successful corporate owners are absolutely familiar with. And certainly CFOs are familiar with. You know, no CFO is going to keep his or her job if the company doesn't improve financially, right? And most sales managers who are very successful at successful companies, they're great at goal reaching as well, because sales come out of nothing. You know, you have an intention that you're going to sell X millions or hundreds of millions of dollars of your product or goods or services, and the national sales manager or international sales manager job is to make it happen from nothing, right? Every single season or every single week or every single month. So it's very important to learn goal-reaching skills, and those are based on identifying the day, month, and the year by which time you want your goal to be reached, and exactly what are the specifics of the goal. Is it money? Is it something else? And so I teach these, and when people understand goal-reaching, whether it's for their personal jobs, whether it's for their companies, whether it's for their families, whether it's for their children's school, people can set goals in every area, health, wealth, you name it. So that's something that you'd probably want to ask me about when you call me if you've never spoken to me before.
I appreciate hearing that, Susan. I know even for me, it's hard to sometimes focus on my daily goals that I want to
Yes.
accomplish.
Yes.
So it is something to be able to coordinate and keep up on, for sure.
You have to type them up. You have to put them on your bathroom mirror. You have to have them next to you in the car. You have to have them in your handbag or on your iPhone. You have to have them in front of you all the time. The only way to really reach your goals is to be very present with them all the time. And the only way to do that is if you are physically looking at them all the time. And that's a trick that works. It really works.
Absolutely. And I'm so proud of myself when I succeed, even on that daily basis.
Yay! Yeah, of course, this is thrilling.
Yes. Keeping it simple here. Now, in a couple where, let's say, one partner has been trained in your goal-reaching skills and the other Heartspace skills, how can that turn a marriage around?
What's really interesting, let's say you're married to someone who says that he or she is willing to accomplish something, and it's just not happening. And, you know, you don't have to talk to me to know that nagging isn't going to work, right? So you've given that up by now because it just doesn't work. And you've tried sweetly asking 5, 10, 15 times, and that isn't working, and it's starting to look like it's going to become nagging in 2 minutes anyway. So you know that there's something, you don't know what, but there's something stopping your partner from getting that thing done. Either the partner doesn't really want to do it, or in many cases, the partner doesn't know how to do it, or the partner doesn't know how to schedule and organize and time management skills, whatever it is. So at this point, it's great to have a goal. Even though you're not physically doing this, it is astounding how frequently and consistently we can set goals in our life and we don't have to touch it at all. Whether it's the divine, if you believe there is a divine, or whether you believe it's just something about your intention that shifts it, it is huge. And I don't mean making a honey-do list and waving it in front of his face and fighting with him at the end of Sunday if it's not done. I mean something that's much more subtle than that.
I was thinking of that honey-do list.
Yeah, really questionable for many. I mean, some guys love it and some women love it, but if they don't, boom, step away from the list.
So a lot of paying attention and learning these skills to be absolutely successful. All right, let's explore. When you work with couples, one unique aspect of the Heartspace system is that you need only one partner to learn the skills, to turn around the whole marriage, the entire marriage.
Yes.
Well, explain how magical that can work.
Yeah, and when you think about it, there was a time when you were happy together. There was a time when your relationship was great, whether you're married or not married. And the relationship was great simply because enough of your needs were being met and enough of your partner's needs were being met. Now, over time, over years, over decades, it doesn't matter, over a lifetime, somebody's needs are not getting met sufficiently and that person is complaining or even threatening to walk out or even has walked out. So the first step is then reconciliation and transformation. And that means that in the first level, the interim stage, if you want the marriage, if you want the relationship, your job is to learn how to meet more of that person's needs. It's the same thing in a corporation. If your client is threatening to take his or her business elsewhere and you want the business, you've got to figure out a way to meet more of your client's needs. It's just common sense. Now, people then say to me, well, what about my needs? Well, first, you got to get the person back in the relationship. You got to get the person back in the door or in a loving relationship back in the bed. So once you've accomplished that, then you have some ways, some traction to motivate and inspire. So if you want the client back, you may not be able to make your full profit in the next business deal. This may be a loss leader, but you're sticking with it because you want to do business with that person. You know if you save this sale, if you save this contract, then you're going to have a lot of other opportunities in the future. So you've got to think about it. Do you really want the relationship? And if you do, then call me and I will show you how to save it, turn it around.
That is indeed very encouraging. There's always a solution, and you're so helpful finding those solutions.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm curious, how does one partner or both parents with Heartspace training have such a positive impact on their children?
Now that's really teaching by example. There's no other way. If I teach your child how to be sweet and cooperative, and then the child tells me that his parents or her parents are screaming, imagine how challenging that is for me and for the child. You want your child to learn peace, then you have to demonstrate peace. You want to learn it, well, please do. I'm here, I'm happy to teach you, or I can teach the whole family. But it is really essential to be able to demonstrate that for your children. First of all, the enormous negative impact on the health of small children living in a household where they're screaming. You can really guess, or you can check with your healthcare provider. This is a huge risk, terrible risk. So as parents, everybody really wants to take seriously how essential it is to learn how to create peace. Create peace within yourself, create peace with other people.
That is wonderful advice. I'm really for the children and
Yes.
paying attention to what is
And
going
the
on
pets,
around them.
the children
Oh,
and the
yes.
pets. The pets will take on these illnesses and they will not do well.
Okay, an awareness right there. How does training in Herman brain dominance allow corporations to thrive?
It's amazing to me what we can find out about somebody who takes the Herman brain dominance instrument, which is a quick online quiz. It's very inexpensive if I'm the person who's doing it, because I have an arrangement with Herman International, and it takes about 20 to 30 minutes online, and you get a printout that will show you exactly the way your brain was working when you took that quiz. And you can't outsmart the instrument, believe me. And it's fascinating, because when I work with certain corporations and they have potential employees take the HBDI online before they offer them a job, we find out some amazing, amazing things. A number of years ago, I decided it would be really fun to put together a presentation where I had HBDI results from I think I used about 12 different people. And you couldn't see who it was, there was no name, there was no company, nothing. It was all completely anonymous. And I gave clients a list and I said, okay, I want you to show me which of these profiles is for a very successful CEO, which is for a very successful CFO, which is for a drug addict, which is for a thief, which is for this, which is for that, which is for that. It was like amazing, because I had all of it, And it was so fascinating. It was really amazing. So think about it this way. Do you want to take a chance and hope that you're hiring somebody who really is who they pretend to be at your series of interviews? Or do you want to hire somebody who not only is proven from the HBDI that they have the abilities, but they also have the potential to learn what you need them to learn? Because if you're looking for someone who's really good at sales, they have to be great with interpersonal relationships, but they also have to know a lot about numbers. They have to be great at goal reaching. And you're not going to know that for sure in the interview. They could say whatever they want to say, but you don't want to wait 6 months to have them make sales, right? And if you want somebody to be a really great, administrative assistant, you need somebody who is a fantastic time management person and always gets it done. And again, these days, you can call 6 of their former employers, and those people are probably not going to tell you the truth because they don't want a lawsuit. So the HBDI is a fabulous way to find out who you're really dealing with. And then, do you want to give them training? Well, if you do, that's great.
There you go. Another tool to use for the highest potential, even
And to
in
prevent disaster.
Oh, that is so insightful,
Yeah,
Susan,
yeah.
and so easy to get that information.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's hope for those that don't like the results as well.
Yes, for sure. You can always learn. As long as you're alive, you can always learn. And, learning is the secret. Lifelong learning is what each and every one of us must do.
Yes, I have a lot of that left to do. Well, Now, I'm curious, how does understanding the Herman brain profile help couples? Now, that's a big one during the dating relationship or even that marriage phase.
Well, yeah, I mean, in one of the companies that I worked with a number of years ago, the owner decided to proceed and hire somebody whose HBDI was very, very sketchy. In fact, looked like that person might be a thief, and turned out that's the example I was giving you. And what was fascinating about it is it showed in the profile. So now if you're thinking of marrying somebody, you certainly want somebody who's capable of being monogamous, which is a lower left brain ability. You want somebody who's capable of avoiding addictive behaviors, which is a lower left brain ability. You want somebody who's capable of earning a living, which is an upper left brain ability. You want somebody who's kind and compassionate. That's a lower right brain ability. But if you're looking for someone to, be a singer in your band, you might want somebody who's very right-brained, upper right brain being creativity and visionary, and lower right brain being emotional. But then you want to make sure you have somebody who's, consistently appearing on time, lower left brain. You might not care how much they're able to earn money. If they're part of the band, that's probably going to be your issue or your manager's issue, right? So as you decide what your needs are, then I can help you understand what does that person's profile look like.
And with that, we can go forward with that peace and cooperation and happiness.
Be better.
Yes. Oh, wonderful results. Now let's explore for parents, in what way is it beneficial to understand the way your children think? Can they really have the Herman brain dominance test as well?
Yeah, usually when they're about 13, it's something that you can start doing. And this is huge. As you heard Gigi say, I've worked with a lot of families where there's addiction. And I've had a real blessing that 100% of the time where at least one parent commits to learning the Heartspace system for addiction, which is a little different, obviously, from the Heartspace system for a marriage or the sales form for a company. So as soon as one parent commits to learning these skills, we have gotten that family member to get clean and sober and stay clean and sober. Now that's huge because you will not find those statistics anywhere. The intervention television show had a statistic of 25% would be clean and sober for 30 days. I'm talking about clean and sober for, years and years and years and years. 9 years by now. So it's amazing. When you understand your child's brain, you understand what your child is capable of and isn't capable of. And that's when you and I start to talk about what to do about it. And there are solutions for everything. And they're very affordable, they're not complicated, they're safe, and it's a really amazing system.
I really appreciate hearing you get the facts and you go forward in the solutions, take care of.
Yeah. And the sooner you identify that your child is having a problem, just as the sooner that you identify that your spouse is having a problem, the sooner that you identify your employee is having a problem, or even your client is having a problem, the sooner we can solve it.
Perfect. No time to waste, that's for sure. I'm curious, to what degree is it advisable, let's say, for a corporation to have a potential employee or an existing employee take the Herman brain profile test?
Yeah, it's really crucial because you need to know before you hire someone what they're capable of learning, not just what they already know. You really do. It's so expensive nowadays to give somebody training. It's so expensive to fire someone and look for someone else and hire someone else and train them and then find out they're no better than the last person you got rid of. And I can remember amazing stories, like one of my clients who had every potential employee take the HBDI and found this employee that I was concerned about, and I expressed my concern. and it looked like the person wasn't stable enough. Whether the stability was going to be emotional, whether it was going to be them not able to show up every day and do their work, that you don't necessarily know. But there was a lack of stability. And I remember when I was supposed to start working with this person that they decided to hire on a, let's see, trial basis. I was walking to my car at the Boathouse, which is a restaurant in Santa Barbara, and I was on the phone with this person just making an appointment, and the person started screaming at me. So I'm like, I'm not even having a session. I'm just, doing a nice gesture and responding, I'm taking a break and having some lunch. I don't remember who I was going with. And I'm like, huh? It's like, what? So I immediately, and this person obviously knows that I work for the boss. She's not having me work for her. I'm working for the boss. So I said, Houston, we have a problem.
But actually, you could have solved that problem dealing with that person.
Well, I could have, but why would a company want me to bother? That's the thing. Yes, if you're married to somebody and you've got 3 children and you adore him and he's got problems and you just adore him, yeah, we can fix it. You and I together, we can fix it. But if you're saying to me, I met this guy and he's really gorgeous, and I can really see myself having babies with him. And by the way, he doesn't have a job. It's like, wait a second. Let's talk about this. Let's think this through. Yeah.
Yes, stick with the facts, right? Oh my gosh.
Please.
Oh, well, now we're going to go into a fascinating clip. This is going to be with Reverend Bernard Goodman, and the focus is about books. And we'll be back for more information from Susan.
We might have told you this already, but you're going to be creating these incredible storybooks to teach children about the future of this planet, and adults are going to fight over them. They're going to be in color, just like children books, but they're going to be brilliantly written. And you'll have animals in them and all kinds of stuff. Dr. Doolittle, right? He's the one who talks to animals, yeah. Right? He may come visit you. Maybe tap you on the shoulder and put in his 2 cents in these books. Walt, so I can understand. Yeah, and Walt Disney will be there and all kinds of stuff. Is this after I die? That is before you die. But I'm noticing something. In the movies, there are more and more movies being made for children with these animated things, whatever they call them, all right? Pixar and all that other stuff that I don't know anything about. And evidently someone with, I guess, the invention of all this technology has discovered a minefield of making money by entertaining children with all this incredible technology that they have. Well, you're going to be writing these kind of books for that.
Oops. All right. Well, thank you, Bernard. I really enjoy hearing whatever Bernard has to share with us. He has so many gifts and brings them to us for more light and enlightenment on our planet. That is his intent. So thank you. Hope to see you soon, Bernard. Now we're going to continue with some questions with Susan at this point. And I know that this is a trick question, but let's go. Sometimes, let's say, creating peaceful conversations within a corporation is more like a, let's say, mediation or an arbitration, so to speak. How can people learn to create peace quickly and successfully without having to enter for long-term, drawn-out mediation?
You have to be committed to peace. If you're committed to picking up the phone and call your lawyer, I would advise you to think again. It's very expensive these days. It's very exhausting these days. If you're not sure about what I'm saying, please watch The Good Wife any Sunday night. It is tragically not so different from the courtroom situations that really occur. And it is a very successful show, and it is excruciating. If you can imagine being any of those attorneys, if you can imagine being any of those clients, it is a horrendous way to live. Too many people that I have known have had long, drawn-out court battles and are dead now. Too many people I have known. So I want you to understand, this is part of my mission, to have people understand that by creating peace within yourself, by understanding the needs of the other side or the other party or the other spouse, you can begin to open up a dialogue. And you don't have to be Henry Kissinger, and you don't have to be me. And you can learn how to do this yourself and create peace. Now, maybe you still want to hire attorneys, but it's in a different way. Maybe you still want to hire me as a mediator or other mediators or arbitrators, but you will do it in a different way because you will retain your relationship with that other person. And you'll be able to calm them down. And you won't see them as the enemy, and you will ensure that they no longer see you as the enemy. So if you have a question about this, please contact me, because what lawsuits cost these days is not just a lot of money.
Oh, yes. There's a high price above and beyond so many ways. Thank you, Susan. So many families, I know they have family meetings these days, and what would you offer them as a suggestion to create more peace and generate more agreements?
You know, I've worked with a lot of really wonderful parents, and I've worked with a lot of really wonderful children and teenagers. And everybody wants to be heard. That's all they want. So Marshall Rosenberg, who's the founder of Nonviolent Communication, did a test many, many years ago, about 25 years ago, in which he discovered that people, out of the 500 people he quizzed, 499 people admitted that they treat their neighbors better than they treat their children. So that's not a plan, obviously. So in a family meeting, your job is not to pontificate. Your job is not to give the Sermon on the Mount. Your job, if you really want a loving, peaceful home life, is to listen to everybody. And if you have a spouse or if you're a single parent, it's the same deal. The adults need to listen to their children. There are no bad children. There are no bad dogs and bad cats. There are adults who are confused. And if you want to learn how to create real peace with anybody, anytime, I can explain how to do it.
That is so true too, Susan. I know how that works. What a gift to have the knowledge to be able to have that for everyone's well-being. It's almost in June now, and this is the #1 month for marriage. Oh my. I can hear my mother talking now. Hey girl. Now, I know that you perform marriages. What advice do you have for young couples for creating peace?
I was just speaking to a client today whose son, one of his sons, is getting married this weekend. And we were talking about, you know, what a lovely, lovely young couple this is, and that they've worked out anything that might have been a problem already, which of course is the difference between getting married today and 50 years ago, right? So people have a huge opportunity. And even if they're very religious and they don't want to be intimate, they still have a huge opportunity of talking about anything and discussing it and seeing what their point of view is. Now, you have to give people enough rope so they're going to be honest. You can't make this punitive. You have to be sure you're really willing to listen to the truth, because a lot of marriages are disasters because one or both people are afraid to speak the truth. And maybe they're afraid to do what they normally do and be honest. And that's a very, very costly path to find yourself on. So you have to motivate and inspire a potential spouse to tell you the truth. In order to do that, you have to be non-punitive. You have to let him or her know that you love unconditionally, and that if there's something that comes out in the conversation, I'm sure we can work it out. And then you have to really search your soul. Do you love this partner unconditionally? You know, are you clear what you expect to get out of this marriage? Because if it's, you know, somebody who pays for the shopping, or somebody's got a great gene pool so you can have a couple of children and then get out, whatever it is, you have to really understand what the deal is. Because most of the reasons to marry that are not unconditional love are very, very costly to you. So you want to think about this long before you leap.
And like you say, to be heard is a huge need, and to
Yes.
listen is, even if it's hard to hear, is a great gift.
Yeah, and you know, then if your partner is saying things that you don't enjoy, you are hopefully having this conversation long before you book the venue, long before you call the event company. So you want to be absolutely sure that this is what you want to do. And the other thing is, now that I've become a marriage officiant along with all the other peacemaking things that I do, I'm always surprised when I go to a wedding and nobody's motivating these two people to merge into one. So whether you're in an army unit, whether you're in a corporation, whether you're in a family, or whether you're a couple, you have to merge into this unit together. And if you don't, this is a recipe for disaster.
That's very good. In every way, that open honesty is number one. What is the most successful way for people to motivate an employee?
Aha! This is a long one. I'm glad we have time. So, first of all, you probably think that you can motivate an employee by indicating that they will lose their job in the most subtle way in the world, or in the not so subtle way, right? Most employees who are on the verge of really displeasing you, the boss, that much, have no idea what they're doing that doesn't work. They don't know what they don't know. Many spouses, for example, who are on the verge of getting, you know, shown the door, don't know what they don't know, and they also don't realize how unacceptable their behaviors are. So the very first thing is, you need to learn the 6-part conversation. You need to be able to calm yourself. Then you need to hear through finessing and guessing, what the other person, the employee's needs are. Really encourage them to speak the truth, let them know it's safe, and all the different ways that people do this. You know, if you don't have an HR person, then you're the HR person. You know, and if you do have an HR person, then you've got to make sure that it's a very compassionate one. Because I remember working with a woman who was the head of HR for a big, big bank. So for all the branches of this big, big bank. And when she hired me, she said that nobody would go to lunch with her. You know, you're in a bank. You're there day after day after day. Everybody's going out to lunch. If nobody will go out to lunch with you and you're the head of HR, you have a big problem, right? If there's not even someone sucking up to you to go out to lunch with you, you have a big problem. And we worked together. She had another issue in her life at the time. She was also getting a divorce. And she became so skilled at the Heartspace system that she asked her mediator and asked her husband if it would be okay if his mediator would leave the room so that she could finalize the arrangements for the divorce, the marital settlement agreement. She did. She did it in 1 hour without even a mediator or an attorney in the room. She and her husband agreed on everything. It was fair, it was reasonable, it was brilliant. And then within 1 month, she was written up in the newspaper for this bank, and they said that she was the #1 employee of the year. So I'm telling you, you can accomplish this. And I haven't thought about that story in a long time, but that is such an amazing thing, isn't it? To go from having a relationship crisis every place you look to having nothing but kudos and appreciation from everybody.
And never having a lunch you need to eat alone.
Right.
If you choose
So-
not
It
to.
was so fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Those are the stories we really enjoy hearing. It inspires
Happy
everyone.
ones.
Yes. Well, I'm really curious what you have to say is the best way to motivate a spouse or a partner.
Again, throw tough love out the window. It's not going to get you where you want to go. What are your partner's needs that will be met by this? You've been trained to talk about your own needs, and it didn't motivate anybody very much for very long, right? So what is it that you can say to your partner that will truly motivate him or her? If you want to go on a vacation, what's in it for him or her? Is it peace? Is it relaxation? Is it family time? Is it taking a boat out on a lake? Is it going to a cabin in the woods? What's in it for your partner? And again, don't suggest, I mean, if you get seasick, don't suggest a cruise. But if you don't get seasick and you enjoy a cruise, even if it's not your favorite thing, that would certainly be a reasonable option if your partner loves it. But as you motivate and inspire your partner, you have to begin with what his or her needs are. After you've done that, then you can talk about your own feelings and needs. And after you talked about that, then you can work your way to part 6 solution.
I just love it, the way you give, the way you pay attention, and then the joy is you receive as well. And that happiness is for all to enjoy.
And it's a process. You know, it's an absolute process. So if you're no longer focusing on how last year you hated what you did for the summer vacation, you're going to be much more willing to start from scratch and learn how to motivate and inspire your partner. If you no longer think about how much you hated that motel, you thought you were going to just kill yourself, and jump off the terrace, don't think about that. That was when you didn't have any skills. Now you're learning skills. If you, are tempted to think about how much you hate his or her family, well, obviously, I'm not saying you give in and give up. I'm saying you have to learn how to be motivating, peaceful and powerful. That's the theme of tonight's show. How to be peaceful and powerful. How to motivate and inspire. How to get your needs met and the company's needs met. How to get your needs met and your family's needs met. How to get your needs met and your partner's needs met. That's what's fun about being alive.
Absolutely. Now, I would like you, with the little bit of time we have left, to let us know, are there great ways to motivate, inspire children?
Yes. It's the same thing. You'd be amazed at how incredibly wise children are. It's just extraordinary. If I didn't know how old they were, the younger children that I've spoken to, if I didn't hear their voices, the voices of, tiny people, I would really think that I was dealing with someone much, much wiser and therefore older. So the key is to have as much respect for your children as you have for yourself. I know this is new for a lot of you. You cannot motivate anyone without respect. Have as much respect for your pets as you do for yourself, and you'd be amazed at how quickly they learn to do what you need them to do so they can be safe. I don't mean, frivolous tricks, but if you want your pets to be safe, you have to teach them some things. If you want your children to be safe, you have to teach them some things. And you have to do it through respect. That's it.
Thank you so much, Susan.